What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another Counter-Strike Go edition of our esports breakdown at FSI. There's a lot of really good things happening right now at FSI. We have free esports for the shortcoming here, and we just had a massive takedown from one of our members, over $5,000 on the League of Legends slates. So get in there. Eddie is providing some awesome core plays, making it really easy for subs to kind of decide which way they want to go. And then we're going to continue to go with Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike, I think, is going to kind of maintain and not really have an off season. So that's what I'm really excited about, that we can kind of continue the esports run. We have Call of Duty and Rocket League continuing to come up. So make sure you subscribe to this channel so that way you can get access right away when we have content like this available. And hopefully we will continue to expand this as well. All right, we are going to hop into today's 4-game slate. Sorry, tomorrow's. And it does start a little bit earlier. So, which I kind of prefer. I think more I like when a majority of the games are in a shorter time frame. I think like DreamHack was okay when it was like 7, noon, and 2, or 7, 10, and 1, or whatever it was, like 2 or 3 hours apart. But this last week, when we've had the last North American game be at 5 o'clock Central, when it just seemed like it got a little bit late. So I'm actually excited for this. And we start out with OG being a -300 favorite against North. Then we have NIP and Fnatic, basically a pick'em. NIP with a slight edge at -120 right now, but I would assume that this is basically a pick'em at this point. Vitality at -300 against Heroic. And then our biggest favorite of the slate is Big, who's -385 against Godsent. Big is a team that we've had on a lot of these slates, and I think every time they've won except for yesterday was the first time I think losing here. So I like Big quite a bit. Obviously, the odds show that as well. Let's get into the pricing. We'll kind of see where we want to go, because whenever we see team Vitality on the slate, that means there's a one and only player named ZywOo that we will likely be targeting, and usually he's too cheap. So let's check it out today. So just before I get into the games individually, ZywOo is 10,000, which I think is definitely more appropriate. I think relative to how close he is to the next most expensive player, being AZ at 9,400, and then Brawlin at 8,800, I think that ZywOo then becomes more in play. Again, he's too close to AZ. There's not really anybody else even in the tier with him. So I think for sure in cash games, you definitely want to make sure you have him in your lineup. So we will make sure to I'll kind of outline some value plays that I think will help you get there with him. Might be tough to put him in captain spot tomorrow, just based on how everything is laying out. But let's go into the OG North game first. So let's go on the OG side, and I'm going to pull up OG's team stats here too. But Manitou has been consistently, I think, one of their best players, and we haven't had them in a lot of slates. But if you just see here in 111 maps that these guys have played together recently, Manitou had a +418 kill the death difference, which I really think that is for his price tag. I think that's definitely he's viable. He's viable at that price tag, being a pretty big favorite here against North. Blade, if I pronounce that right, is the second best at +165, 167, 7,600. I think he's a decent value play. And if you listen to the last slate that I talked about OG, I loved Issa. He was like just over that positive cusp mark. Then he just went off. He was the top player on their server, I think, one of the last couple matches they played. And he's still down here at 6K. So he is one of my favorite values of the slate. And I think he's somebody that could provide that salary relief that will allow you to play ZywOo comfortably without feeling like you're giving up too much. So my favorite 3 plays would be Manitou, Blade, and Issa from OG. And they are stackable. They're -300, so they have a good chance to sweep. North, we know is usually just carried by AZ as much as possible. And if we see here, yeah, he went off against Movie Stars. This is a different matchup than they're going to get against Movie Stars. Not that he doesn't have the upside still, and he does, obviously. But for 9,400, as I said before, it's too close of a price tag to Zaiwu that I won't be really considering him here as an underdog. I think maybe Gade would be a viable punt at 4,800. He played awful against Movie Stars, but he was somebody that was kind of viable before. Maybe Chris Dow, did he play better against Movie Stars? Yeah, 36, not great. AZ basically carried the team, but yeah, so I'm not really targeting a lot for North here. I like the OG side a lot better, and I think the prices are basically the same, are relatively close for players that we like more in a as a favorite. So I don't think there's a reason to force in any North players. All right, Vitality and Heroic. It's not really much different here than Vitality being having Zaiwu and then the next most expensive player like 2,500 to 3,000 cheaper. And we're seeing that here with Shocks. A lot of people have been playing RPK lately as a value play, which is he's certainly a play again here. I do think he just does better in matchups where they're like overwhelmingly the favorite. They're favored pretty well here, but they're not playing a dumpster diver team here. Heroic's been playing pretty decent lately. So I think Zaiwu and Shocks are my first two favorite plays here, and then I would consider RPK. As somebody like you could be picking between RPK and Issa, or play both of them if you're trying to use Zaiwu at captain. But I think those two are pretty decent values and good opportunities to sweep. So when you have a good opportunity to sweep, I think that gives them that 20-point third round, which is definitely more than what they normally would average in competitive matches. So I think that's where you like to find your value. Now, Vitality is also always just a little bit volatile. So I think the prices here really make Heroic kind of a nice cheap GPP stack. Nico and Staven. And then you could even pair them up with Tessis, I really like at that price tag. Those would probably be the three. I mean, if you use those three, you can basically play anybody else you want. You could go, Zaiwu captain, Manitou, and Searson or something when we get to big, so there's a lot of ways you can go if you use Heroic in a GPP stack. And remember, Vitality, minus 300, I think is what they're at right now. Yeah, minus 300. Let's go to our closest matchup, and let's go to the NIP side first. They are priced down pretty significantly. Plopsky 7,400, Knox 7,200. We know Twist has had a lot of really good outings recently. A lot of like clutch plays, those fantasy, 4 kill rounds. He had an ace in one round. But I think he's a little bit overpriced still here. But I like Plopsky and Knock for their price tags. I just don't really love the matchup, even that it's just basically a pick 'em. Obviously, they are pricing Fnatic up more, like they are probably the favorite. But I do think that just goes to say, like, their players are just more, I don't know, not necessarily like well known, but Fnatic has typically been a better team, so I think they just give like the name advantage in pricing here. But I don't really love either side. I think in GPPs, I think the ownership's going to be low on both sides of this matchup. Unless people just like Crim's like point per dollar or Flusho, which I think is viable too. Especially if this goes 3 maps, those are guys that would be projected to perform at or above the 15 to 20 point fantasy point per map. So I think that they're definitely viable, and JW always can get going with the AWP and reach value, but it's not a slate that I'm really looking to target. So last one here, Godson and BIG. Big being the biggest favorite of the slate at minus 385. Searson at 8,600, I think is still way too cheap. He's probably my second favorite play on the slate behind Zaiwu. Zanartes is finally getting a little bit of a price bump, but 7,400 and 7,800, I think. I think you can definitely make a case for both of them at that price tag. So that's where I'm going to finish it off here tonight. Check us out on FSI.com, FSIDFS.com. Get into our free esports Discord channel. Hit the subscribe button. Thanks a lot for listening. Signing out.